Good morning. It is December 31st, 10:14 on a Wednesday morning. And today, or tonight, is New Year's Eve. Tomorrow is the start to 2026. Kind of insane, kind of crazy. But yeah, it's kind of just, same shit, different day, I guess. But then there is a lot of significance to the changing of a new year. So tomorrow I'm going to do, which I don't think I've done before for this channel, because I always do seasonal holiday videos, Halloween, of course, Thanksgiving, and the big one is Christmas. Halloween's probably a little bit bigger actually, but I don't think I've done any videos when it comes to New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So I'm going to do a video tomorrow just talking about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day especially. So, and what that means and things that I've been really proud of this year, or things that I've been really grateful for. More so with things that I've been just really grateful for this year, because you know every year's cut always presents your victories and your losses. So, and there's been plenty of both. So but it's been pretty good overall. A lot of cool things have happened the last, especially the last 2 years. So I'm gonna, I'll dive into those things tomorrow. And I do actually have a couple of movies. One movie in particular that I can think of offhand, New Year's Evil, which is this really awesome slasher movie that is a definitively based kind of slasher film set in the world of for during the time of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So that would be a good movie to probably talk about. I haven't watched it in a long time, but such an awesome movie. Really great slasher, super underrated. Don't really ever hear that movie talked about much. So I hope, being that today or tonight is New Year's Eve, I hope people have some fun plans for New Year's Eve. I I've always been a big fan of New Year's Eve, but honestly, the last few years that I've had, something to do or lack thereof on New Year's Eve, it's been kind of lame. It hasn't been very exciting. And, sometimes I feel like with New Year's Eve, it's a little bit anticlimactic, because I feel like it's never, a lot of the times, like Christmas and all of the other holidays, obviously, unfortunately, we live in such a consumer driven society, but as far as like when it gets down to the nitty gritty of what the holidays are about, there's always a lot of build up. There's a lot of anticipation and excitement around the holidays, and it's always been for me. Some people don't celebrate the holidays very much. I have a really good friend that doesn't. It's just a normal day for him, and they don't really do anything with with him and his mom and his family, and that's totally fine. But for me, I've always been a person who really gets into the holidays, and Halloween, of course, big time, and Christmas, and I love Thanksgiving. And there's that whole stretch in the fall going into the winter where we are now, where there's the holiday season and all those things. And New Year's Eve has always been a really fun holiday for me, but it's kind of been anticlimactic in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of build up and all these things, and then sometimes when it comes to doing things for New Year's Eve, when I've gone to events, or I used to play gigs on New Year's Eve all the time, and I haven't played a gig for New Year's Eve in years, which is kind of weird. I miss it, but then I don't. It's just I used to have these New Year's Eve gigs, which were fun, and those places. One place in particular kind of closed, and then I lost my connection at this festival that was doing New Year's Eve, so I just don't really have that going on. And then folks or bands that I play in and people that I play with now don't seem to have any enthusiasm about doing anything for New Year's. They kind of just chill out at home and hang out with their families. For me, I like to usually try to do something fun for New Year's. And one of the but New Year's has been always kind of up in the air a little bit for me, even though I'm really into it, Because sometimes, like at gigs that I used to have or things I would go to, certain events, it would be kind of like, I don't know, like I'd be surprised by kind of the enthusiasm or lack thereof of people that come out. It's usually kind of like, it's a little bit more mellow than I always expect. A lot of people stay home. A lot of people don't do anything. Some people are, stay home and they're in bed before midnight. It's kind of weird. It's kind of got this thing about it. And I get it, whatever floats your boat. My favorite New Year's Eve was back when Fog Bar was open in Rockland. And we used to play, I had a gig there for about 3 years straight, playing with Vince Gabriel and Glenn Dubois, and it was a really fun time. And we played probably about 3 years in a row. And it was the New Year's before the wonderful COVID thing came upon us. And that was an absolute blast. It was so fun, and people were going crazy, and there were balloons and confetti and alcohol and just all kinds of great food. So, but since then, New Year's Eve has been kind of like okay, decent, or kind of lame. And I'm always been like missing going out to see electronic music, going out to dancing. I'm not a good dancer by any means, but that's the kind of music that I love to go out to dance to. And there used to be a lot of events in Mid Coast back in the day that you could do that. You could go see a house music DJ. Marshall Wharf, Three Tides, and Belfast used to do things like that all the time. And there were a handful of other places that would have these gatherings. But that's really changed, and I don't really come across it very much. And usually New Year's Eve, there's things going on, but nothing that really excites me. That makes me want to do anything. So it's usually been kind of lame. But tonight I'm going with some friends to Ada's, which is a really great Italian restaurant in Rockland, Maine. I used to go there a lot, and then this past fall I went there for dinner with a friend, and that was the first time in a very long time since I had been there, and it was great. And then so we made plans to go, a little group of us to go there for dinner tonight. We made reservations, and there's a really great DJ playing tonight at Ada's, and Johann Churchill, who I've known for a long time, and he was a professional house music DJ in San Francisco. So I'm hoping he'll play some really cool shit. He's got amazing taste in music. He's been DJing forever, and we had a lot of mutual friends over the years really into electronic music. And I'm hoping he'll play some cool shit that's not just like your really bad, kind of watered down EDM stuff that I can't stand. And I'm hoping he plays some cool shit. I played a show on Halloween, a band that I played in, Space Junk, and then he also DJ'd, and he DJ'd, we would trade off the sets, and we would play like a little set, and then he would DJ, and he was great. He played a lot of cool 80s synthwave kind of stuff, but a lot of cool tracks, a lot of good stuff that you don't you've heard, and then some stuff you didn't really hear, I hadn't really heard before, and it was really good. So I'm looking forward to tonight, and hopefully things will be great. And then tomorrow, New Year's Day, I'm going to go. I had a friend who invited me to this big party that they have every year, which is usually a really great time. I had been to this big party in the past, and I guess he does it every other year. I haven't been to it in quite a while, so I'm looking forward to it. There's all kinds of great food, and a lot of people show up, drinks, and then there's an open jam. They have a bunch of instruments, so that'll be fun. But I'm going to do a New Year's Day tomorrow, a New Year's Day video for Film Fanatic, which will be, I don't know, I think it will be the first video for New Year. So yesterday was fun. I've been on vacation. I don't go back to work until Monday, so I've had a bunch of time off from work. I work at Montessori, and we're on Christmas break still. So I've had a lot of time off, and I just been kind of chillaxing, and went to see a really great, awesome movie on Sunday, The Secret Agent. I just posted a video up on the channel. Just phenomenal, phenomenal movie. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely, I saw it before I made my best of 2025 video. I kind of wish I waited because this movie, Secret Agent, was so damn good that it's might be caught up in this three-way tie now between one battle after another, A Long Walk, and also Secret Agent. So it's been a pretty good year for movies. Anyway, I went to Opera House Video yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of in this winter movie state of mind. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go there and see what they have for at least new releases. But I'm gonna try to seek out some winter, movies. I love movies that are set in the winter. I think it's kind of one of the coolest environments for a film. And so when I went to Opera House Video, I was looking around, and it was a little bit slim pickings, and I was looking around, and then they around Christmas time they started selling a ton of DVDs, brand new DVDs, unopened, unused, which was kind of surprising to see. And I got about four movies a couple of weeks ago that were just phenomenal, and I've uploaded shows for them. Just super killer movies, and I was so blown away by one in particular, Kidnap Coed, and also Axe, that was put out. It was a two movie set put out by Severin, and it's a DVD. And I was like blown away because I'm like, wow, I didn't think Severin put out DVDs at all. And it was a fairly recent release, and it's really good quality, packed with some really great special features. It's awesome. So anyway, so I was in there yesterday, browsing around, and I saw they still had a lot of DVDs, no Blu-rays for the sale, which is a little too bad. I was surprised they weren't able to have any Blu-rays, but they had a lot of DVDs, pretty decent selection. And the one cool thing is the prices are pretty decently, they're pretty good. They're a little bit expensive, but the prices are pretty good. And the cool thing is, from what I gather, at least from the movies that I bought, they're all actually really good quality DVDs, like kind of like higher end quality DVDs. You have like your kind of generic, knockoff DVDs that are decent, and when you watch them, if you like watch them now, the older ones, the ones that might have come out like 15 or 20 years ago, typically they don't look very very good. But like newer versions of DVDs, and then if you get a higher resolution quality DVD, it's usually pretty good. And the ones that I got a few weeks ago were all pretty good quality. I was really excited, especially the Severin one, where I was like, this is such a freaking steal. I have watched both movies twice already, and I'm like, I love this edition so much that I definitely don't need to get an upgrade of these. So, but anyway, so I was looking through the aisle, and I was kind of in this winter state of mind. I wanted to watch a winter movie, and then I came across a pretty good, or well, actually really good edition, unopened, unused version of the one and only Fargo, and I was just like, fuck yes. And it was $7, but which is a little bit expensive for a DVD, but it was unopened, totally sealed, and I have not seen this movie in so long. I don't really own. I'm trying to think. I'm a massive Coen Brothers fan, and thinking on what movies of the Coen Brothers have I talked about. Not a whole lot really, which is kind of a crime because back in the 90s, early 2000s, they had this the Coen Brothers had this run of where they just did kind of one after another, just cranking out these amazing films, almost like pretty much masterpiece after masterpiece. And then fairly recently, they kind of separated, making they kind of broke up, I guess, as a filmmaking team. And I know one of them, I think it might be Ethan Coen, kind of broke off, and then he started directing movies by himself. But as the Coen brothers working together, where they write and direct their films, they haven't done anything together, and I don't think they are in that partnership anymore, which is crazy because when you think of the time where they made just so many fucking amazing movies. I think the only movie that I've covered of the Coen brothers on this channel, I have, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe I have it. I'm pretty sure I have it on Blu-ray. The only Coen Brothers movie I've talked about and I have covered is Blood Simple, which was the first Coen Brothers movie, and it's probably still my favorite Coen Brothers movie. But I mean, again, they had so many great films. I mean, you had films like No Country for Old Men, Fargo, which is going to be today's show. The Man Who Knew Too Much, Oh Brother Art Thou, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, amazing film. I mean, they made so many good movies during this, like, I don't know, 10 to 15 year period. They were cranking them out one after another that was just phenomenal. And so again, I was in this winter movie state of mind, and I saw Fargo, and I realized this movie is a how what a masterpiece this movie is. I mean, man, this is like going to film school. This movie is just such a masterpiece. And I realize I don't, as much as I love this movie, and I've seen this movie a shit ton of times, but it's been probably quite a few years since I've seen it. I mean, quite a few years. And I realized, wow, I don't own any copies of this, not even on DVD or anything. My folks have Fargo on DVD, and I've watched it over there a bunch of times over the years, and I think I've even borrowed it. And I remember renting it a bunch of times at Opera House Video on DVD, but I've never seen it on Blu-ray. So, and again, I had some reservations about buying this because I'm like, well, I mean, this movie is such a visual feast. I mean, it just looks so incredible. And I was like, man, should I buy this on DVD? Or because this movie is such a beautiful film, just on visuals alone, maybe I should just not do it and just wait to buy it on Blu-ray. But then I was like, screw it, I'm gonna just buy it, fuck it, because I based that on, well, because I really wanted to see a winter-based movie, but then I hadn't seen Fargo in so long, and it looked like a really, really beautiful edition. I mean, it is the special edition. There are a bunch of special features on here too, and it was sealed, so I'm like, the quality is probably going to be pretty decent. And so I bit the bullet and just bought it because I realized I don't have any copies of Fargo at all, which is insane and ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And getting back to the visuals with this film, Roger Deakins, legend in the world of cinematography. Dean Condon is probably my favorite cinematographer. He was the cinematographer for all of the John Carpenter films, a legend. But Roger Deakins is probably my second favorite, or right up there with Dean Condon. Amazing, amazing cinematographer. I think he's won more Academy Awards than any other cinematographer. He's done all of the work, basically every Coen Brothers film. And so the visual element to a Coen Brothers film, I think, is so beautiful and lush that you could watch the film with the sound off and just watch the visuals because it's so powerful, so gorgeous. And I've always been a huge Roger Deakins fan, and this is like one of his best kind of achievements in the world of cinematography, maybe his best. And the other thing too about this movie, it's crazy how long ago this movie came out. It's wild. Came out in 1996, which is crazy, crazy. This was a real significant movie. I remember seeing Fargo. I didn't see it when it came out, but I remember seeing it maybe a year or 2 years after it came out on DVD. This film came out during the time when when it came to being released in physical media form. It was the height of the DVD craze. Like DVDs by this point had exploded, and one of the coolest things about DVDs was the special features components. I mean, if you look at a lot of the DVDs that came out in the 90s, early 2000s, I mean, some of those editions are just amazing because if you're into a movie, like really into the movie, and you're also really into those directors who've made those movies, I mean, you can learn so much about the art of filmmaking. There's all kinds of really great interviews, and the other thing that was a big allure for me for getting into buying movies, and this was also like this came out in '96, which again to me is just like that's wild, like how old this film is. It's crazy. It's crazy. I didn't realize until yesterday how old this movie actually is, and so one of the biggest attractions, and this was right around a time. I was in, yeah, I was still in college when Fargo came out, and I think it was a couple of years later that I ended up seeing it for the first time. And I think I saw it on DVD for the very first time. That's the only way I've ever seen it. I've never seen it on Blu-ray, which would be amazing, and I'll probably get it eventually on Blu-ray. But I ended up biting the bullet and buying this anyway because I have said in the past I'm not going to buy any more DVDs, but that's a lie. So I still will, as a big collector and really into buying movies, I will still like obviously Blu-ray is my focus, but I'll still buy DVDs. I'm just a movie slut, so yeah. And so when I got out of college, like before college, I did collect movies. We that was during the time of in high school. VHS was the thing, and my parents, I remember, like we used to watch a lot of movies when I was a kid. Obviously, we had HBO and Cinemax, and DVDs were, or sorry, VHS were was definitely the thing of the day. So people used to buy VHS tapes all the time, and I remember my folks always had a lot of VHS tapes, and I think I bought a few on my own, but I didn't really buy any VHS that I can really think of. Used to watch a lot, and used to get into going. Used to go like every Friday, every weekend to the video store with my parents or by myself. You know, but it wasn't until after college when the DVD craze really blew up, and I remember buying my first DVD player, and it was like, wow, like this was amazing. And the thing that was, and by that time I hadn't really gotten into collecting movies so much, but I really started to really get into movies. and especially in college. I had a few friends that were really into film, and I just started developing a big appetite. We used to watch a lot of movies in school at the end of the day or late night, and that got me into film even more. And then when I got out of college, the DVD craze blew up, and so that's when I first started buying DVDs in the '90s, late '90s, early 2000s. And one of the coolest or the most attractive things about buying DVDs was like, you could get a movie that say a movie you grew up watching or that you loved, like say Alien, or it could be Alien, or Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or something that you grew up watching and you just loved. You could buy it on DVD and it was all digital, but then it would be packed with special features, so you could like see interviews, because this was before YouTube and before the internet got really big. You could like see interviews with like Ridley Scott talking about the movie, and interviews with the cast, and kind of get and understand and have this eye-opening thing to how like this movie got made. And so it was awesome. And then that really exploded. Really, really exploded. And DVDs were the biggest thing for so long. And after college, a few years after, I bought a handful of DVDs. And then I just went crazy and I started buying DVDs all the time. And still, like, till today, to this day, again, most of the movies I buy now are Blu-rays. But I still have more DVDs. When I compare my collection, like Blu-rays, DVDs, I still have a lot more DVDs compared to Blu-rays. I think I have a pretty good Blu-ray collection now, but I still have more DVDs. I still have my VHS tapes, and it's only because I started so long ago collecting DVDs. I did a big show last year where I did like a tour of my bedroom and went through all of my collection, which was a lot of fun. I might do another show at some point with that, because I've gotten a lot more movies since then for the most part. I haven't been buying as many as I'd like, just because I'm trying to save a little bit of money, but I still buy, overall, I still buy them. And, I just bought 4 movies the other a week or two ago, and then I just bought this movie. So I still buy movies. I haven't been up to Bull Moose as much as I want to, but I will be going up there soon again. Maybe I'll go up there this weekend. We'll see. Anyway, the other really significant thing with Fargo, it was the very first Coen Brothers movie I had ever seen. It was a first for a lot of things. It was the first Coen Brothers movie I had ever seen. I remember seeing Fargo for the very first time and just being just totally blown away by it, because I was like, wow, I've never seen all of these elements in a movie before, where all the characters are just phenomenal. You love every person, every character that you're seeing, and that that is being presented to you. But I was just enamored by how funny the film was, and then also it was really dramatic, but then it was super dark and brutally violent all at the same time. And I couldn't believe, I had never really seen a movie at that time that had elements of like a black comedy, a drama, and it was also very suspenseful. And it was, the kind of the setting of winter. I mean, Fargo is, as if you want a wintertime movie experience, Fargo is like, you can't get any more. It's not possible to be in more of a wintry kind of climate when you watch it, as far as the film goes. I mean, it is a winter film. But it was a first, because it was the first time I ever saw Frances McDormand as an actress, blown away by her performance. I mean, the whole ensemble cast, and especially Steve Buscemi. And there was a bunch of other actors in the film that I had never seen before. And I remember Fargo, when it came out, it was a huge film. It it was a massively successful film, and I was I was blown away by it. And that was the it was definitely my introduction to the Coen Brothers. And I remember after seeing Fargo, I went down. I just couldn't believe how what a masterpiece this movie is. And then I got way into the Coen Brothers movie. I seeked out everything that I could, and then yeah, just went down a Coen Brothers rabbit hole, and just they became kind of my favorite directors at that time for for a long time. Discovering Miller's Crossing and just so many. And then eventually when Oh Brother Art Thou or No Country for Old Men came out, just amazing. And I was just like, man, these guys can't do anything wrong. So, and there's not a lot of movies like this. I mean, there's not a lot of movies that can be so funny and so twisted and so dark and kind of brutally violent at the same time. I mean, so I watched Fargo again last night, and again, I just had that same experience where I'm like, this movie is just, it's so goddamn good. Like, if you're ever going to say it, it's like they don't make movies like this anymore. I mean, the detail to the dialogue, the script is like just through the roof. The direction is just absolutely phenomenal. The cast is absolutely phenomenal. The music, especially the cinematography, it's just amazing. And this was eventually to become a TV series, which I've only seen um, the first season with Billy Bob Thornton, and I do believe there's like maybe 3 or 4 seasons, but the first season of Fargo that I did see is awesome. I do want to revisit that series at some point, but and that series came out many years later, fairly recently. But this really was a pivotal movie for me because it really got me into. It was my introduction to the crazy world of the Coen Brothers, and such a unique team of filmmakers. I mean, and later on in their career, in the late mid to in the 2000s, I don't know, 2015, 2016, they kind of went astray. I felt, they kind of were missing the mark and with some of their films, and I didn't know what was kind of happening. And they kind of started putting out these like kind of mediocre films, movies that were okay. And then they ended up putting out this really terrible movie with George Clooney, Cruel Intentions, I think it was, which was like this courtroom drama, black comedy. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I think, is in it, and it's actually a terrible movie. And ever since then, I don't know what happened. I think they just put out. I mean, they put out such an incredible body of work over the course of like 10 to 15 years, and I think they just kind of, I don't know, burnt themselves out. I don't know, and then they kind of split as a team, and I think it's Ethan Hawke. I mean, Ethan Cohen, I think, not Ethan Hawke. Ethan Cohen, who went on to kind of direct movies by himself, and I think I've seen 1 or 2 of them, and they're again okay. They're not terrible, but they're not great. But what an amazing period these guys had. What an amazing run, and such a string of legendary films. And I don't know. After watching Fargo last night, I'm like, man, I'm almost like, because I love Blood Simple so much. To me, that is just such a masterpiece of a film. It's like such a great modern day noir, really dark, really violent. It's not a comedy by any means. Like that movie's a pretty dark movie and a pretty stark movie. Very atmospheric. Fargo is a very funny movie. I mean, there's so much comedy, but it's in a lot of ways when it comes to the violence, especially the scene where Steve Buscemi and his partner in crime get pulled over. There's that infamous scene when they get pulled over by the cop, and if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. And it's so brutal, like it's so shocking. I remember when I first saw Fargo, and even watching it last night. It's so brutal and gory, and you don't see it coming at all, and so it's really shocking. And that's the thing, a trademark I think of a really great Coen Brothers film is that they would take their characters, their stories, even the arcs of the stories to uncharted territories where it was never really predictable. They didn't really ever, they combine all these elements of like noir and comedy and action and violence, drama, melodrama, westerns. They combine all of these elements and but they don't have, especially in the string of these films, especially Fargo, but they don't like. There's always a level of where it's not predictable at all. Like that's how Fargo is. Like you, from one minute to the next, you don't know what's going to really happen. And they have this thing of where once things get bad, they just get worse and worse for particular characters. And I can't forget William H Macy. This was the first movie I ever saw with him in it. And what they do with the characters and the story is so unpredictable. Like it is not a movie that you can just throw in the background. No way. And it's not a movie that you can like have it playing at home. If you got a chance to see this in the theater, which would have been amazing, and like go get some popcorn in the middle of the movie or have to go pee. It's such a riveting movie. And if you came back to it, you would not have any idea what the fuck is going on because you've missed key points. And I think that's really, really important. I remember seeing a thing with Quentin Tarantino, who's been in the news lately, and he's kind of a dick sometimes. He says some pretty stupid things, but I still really love his films. But I remember him talking about movies that are engaging and movies that are just kind of there, like movies that are kind of mediocre. And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of movies that come out every year that are, essentially paint by numbers. They're very formulaic. And if you see them in the theater or you see them or you're watching them at home, you could have, you could put it in and watch it or, be there in your seat watching a film. And you can get up and like, go get a snack or go to the bathroom or whatever and come back and not have missed one damn thing because it's so, paint by numbers or very formulaic. But then there's other films where if you do that, you'll be totally lost. You've missed some key things in the story, and a good film is going to keep you in your seat no matter what. And Fargo is the very definition of that. I mean, it's just such a damn good movie. What a masterpiece. Was really cool that came out of this movie. Again, this was a first for many, many things when I first sort of saw Fargo. I mean, the biggest and the best part of it was my first Coen Brothers movie I'd ever seen. It was the first time I'd ever seen any of their movies. But then it was my introduction to Frances McDormand and also especially Steve Buscemi and then William H. Macy and a handful of the other characters or actors in the film. And I remember during this time period, all of their careers, William H. Macy, especially Steve Buscemi, Frances McDormand, I mean, their careers exploded. They were in so many movies after Fargo, like, it was wild. Like, this movie really made, like, just, for instance, as an example, take Steve Buscemi, it made him into this, like, big star, like, really big star. And he went on to become a major player, and, like, where he was in, at one point, I remember seeing him in almost every other movie, and he ended up directing movies as well. He did this one movie, The Trees Lounge, that was directed, and I'm really wanting to see that movie again because it's such an amazing movie. He went into directing as well, all kinds of stuff. And Frances McDormand, I mean, she was in a film just not a few years back that was nominated for Best Picture. Their careers, William H. Macy, their careers exploded, and they were in almost every movie, every TV show that was coming out for the next 10 years. It was pretty wild. And rightfully so, because this movie really, I mean, not only for me personally, it really established, these actors as being kind of the best around at that time. And the biggest thing and the coolest thing was my introduction to the amazing work of the Coen Brothers. And so, and from a technical side, this DVD is really good quality. It looks awesome. It's a newer release, I believe, on DVD. They do still make DVDs, which is wild, but the quality of this is really really good. The sound, the picture, you really get to see and get a good sense of Roger Deakins' magic as a cinematographer. It looks really really great, and I was really excited. It's so good, I almost think I might not need to get it on Blu-ray, but it would be good to have. But man, what a masterpiece! I can't say enough good things about this movie. So thanks again, and we will see you in 2026.